Thank you for joining us for Elko Live today. And as promised, we have Mr. Joe DeBraga in studio. And he is a former Elko County School District administrator, educator. He is an award winner for Nevada 1999 of the Milken Educator Award. He opened Spring Creek High School in 1992. He is currently adjunct faculty at Great Basin College. He and his beautiful wife, Angie, own and operate the Seventh Canyon Ranch in Lamoille. It is a working ranch and a popular wedding venue. He's also the founder and owner of Reading Vision, which I think it would be great to have him talk a little bit about, Joe. But today, the main reason for our visit is to talk about the Nevada Classical Academy of Elko. Joe, welcome to the program today. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. You seem to know a lot about me.
Well, all I did was a couple of clicks, right,
Yeah.
on the old internet. But so, as a founding member of Nevada Classical Academy, what made you want to get involved in Elko's newest charter school?
Well, mainly because they asked. There was a group of people in our community that wanted to see another choice for parents to have for their kids. And they wrote a charter application to the State Public Charter School Authority. And that's a difficult task. It's like writing a dissertation. And as with most of the people that are trying to start charter schools, they're usually unsuccessful to start. And they had some things to work on. And so some of the members asked me to help with that, me and a couple other people. And so we rewrote that application. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of technical work, and you have to understand education and to get it, get through the process. So we were successful the second time through getting that, and very excited about that. So it's a lot of work. I don't think people realize what it takes to start a school, and especially from scratch. Everything is from the bottom up, and so it's a lot of work, especially what you have to write, and there, we have things. We have to meet state requirements, just like any public school, but we do have some leeway in some areas as well. So that's one of the things that makes charter schools more, kind of special is you can choose a direction and a topic or a specific thing. Like ours is classical. We're going to use a classical education model. Other charter schools have other topics or things that they use, but in ours, that's model that we're choosing, and it's based off of Hillsdale College, off of their curriculum.
So, Joe, what do you want the community to know especially? We've had some conversations, obviously, when some board members came in early on before that application was approved. Is our Elko our latest charter school? Let's talk about the difference between private and charter school, if you wouldn't mind.
So private, you're not meeting all the requirements of the state. Charter school, it's still a public school. We still have to assess kids, same as the regular public schools are assessed. There's a whole list of laws. We have to meet regular laws. Our governing board, we have to meet open meeting law requirements, all of those things. So it's it's different than a private school, because private school, the funding is privately. We do get funded by the state per pupil, just like the school district does, except we get funded less. We actually get $3,000 less approximately per kid. So that makes it even more difficult for us, because we do have to fundraise. We have to fill that gap, especially this first year, because we have to purchase all the desks, all the books, all the computers, all the equipment, get the school set up and so forth. So it makes it a challenge. And fortunately, we haven't had a fundraiser yet, but we're going to start that. But we've had lots of large donations from people that just felt that they wanted to participate and have helped us out.
Yeah, $3,000 less per pupil. That is a significant difference. What are we up to now? About over 9,000 or something per pupil in Nevada, or
the school district is 13 something, we'll be around 10. So yeah, that's a big difference. And we're starting off small, right? We're going to do 2 classes of kindergarten, 1 first, 1 second, and 1 third. So we're going to have about 115 to 120 students. When you calculate that out by 10, well, we have to pay salaries of school administrators, secretary, counselors, those teachers, teacher aides, all of those things, that pretty much wipes that money out really fast. And in the first year, so that's the difficult part. And then each year we're going to roll those grades up. So the following year we'll have 2 kindergartens, then 2 firsts, a second, a third, and then the third will roll to fourth. So starting the fourth year, we'll run out of space. So we have to be saving money and trying to find money because we're going to have to add modulars or find a new location, similar to what the other Elko Institute for Academic Achievement had to do. They ran out of space. I know they have a huge waiting list. I think I've heard somewhere around 500 students on that waiting list. So they had to find new space. Within 4 years, we're going to most likely have to add space. We've had quite a few applicants already. Our application window is open right now, and it closes on March 21st. And we're probably close to 3/4 of the way full already, especially in kindergarten. I think there's some openings in second and third. First is pretty close to full. And what happens is everyone fills out an application, and let's say first grade has more students than we can hold. Then all those students go into a lottery, and your name is drawn out. And if you're drawn, then you're in. If you're not, then you're on a waiting list, is how that system works. So, and that's similar to all charter schools have to do that. That's one of the things we're regulated by. You can't say, oh, I want this student because they're very bright and they'll test higher. Actually, we're targeting students from low-achieving schools. We want to try to improve the education of our community, right? We want that for our community, and so everyone is invited. If there's not room, again, you're on a lottery, but that's regulated by law. So,
and these deadlines are approaching, right, Joe? That you want people to, and then there is a process as was described, admission. You have to fill out an application and then go through this process to see if you actually achieve enrollment.
Yes, so the applications are available at ncaelko.org. You can also go by the school, and it's at where the old EIAA charter school was located at 1031 Railroad Street. And Dr. Brandolin Thrawn is our school leader, and you can call the school at 775-860-4300 and schedule a tour. She'd be happy to meet you and take you around. And if you want to see more about the school, we're still doing renovations in there, so they're painting and doing some other things. After the other charter school left, then we had to rearrange a few things and get prepared. So, but still, it'd be nice to meet her. She's an amazing person, Dr. Thrawn. We're very fortunate to have her. She's so full of enthusiasm. And one of the things about her is she wants to have the best school in the country. That's her goal, and we like that. And so she's going to, I think, have an amazing school.
She has a proven local history here, heading up Nevada Outdoor School and taking that organization to new heights and serving rural Nevada students to be good stewards of the public landscape. So it seems like a good fit, Joe, in that what you just described, the Nevada Classical Academy of Elko wants to create good stewards as citizens.
Yeah, a part of the philosophy of Hillsdale is, virtuous people. They're more concerned about creating good people that want to be lifelong learners, teaching them how to learn more than, just worrying about a test score. So that's the goal. One of the main goals is creating that, and that's the focus. And Dr. Thrawn, she epitomizes that, which is one of the reasons that we selected her.
We're looking forward to getting to have a conversation with her too, Joe. She'll be coming in, I'm sure, in the coming days. Class will start August 25th, right? I think that's right around the date.
We have a calendar. We haven't finalized it yet. It is a little different. One of the things that's nice about a charter school is, we can do what we want, basically, as far as that goes. We do have to still meet state requirements. I know the school district's going through this with their calendar right now. You have to have the equivalent of 180 days, and it's based off of minutes that are required per grade level by the state. So we don't like the long day for kids. So our schedule is kind of a modified schedule where it's back to kind of what the time period was before Elko went to the 4-day week. But there are every 2 Fridays a month where kids will come a half a day, and that's for remediation or enrichment activities. And the other half a day is for professional development for teachers, and for teachers to work on their craft and, look at individual students and figure out how to help them. So we've built in, I believe, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but it's around 19 days of professional development for our teachers, and that's unheard of. But we feel so importantly about that. So the kids are still going to have, I wish I had that in front of me, but the equivalent days more than is required by the state is still a lot. I mean, way over what's required. And it's way over what's required or compared to the school district's 4-day week, but it's a shorter day. And we feel that's important not to drag that out for kids. So anyways.
No, that's great, Joe. He's hitting all the high marks here. I'm just checking off the boxes of all the questions that I have. We can talk a little about the nuts and bolts, and some of this obviously might be a work in progress, but things like class sizes, is that an important consideration?
It is. We want to try to keep them as small as possible. Kids or income is the other part. So we're going to have, our goal is 22 to 1, and that's kindergarten, first and second. Third, fourth, third, and on up would be 25. But the intention is to have other people in the classrooms with them. This school, we hope to have a lot of parent involvement and volunteer work where people can help kids read. The most important thing for a child by 3rd grade is for them to read at the 3rd grade level. And if you don't get the fundamentals started, right, then you get way behind. The other concept is, the kids don't move around. I know, for example, in the school district here locally, they'll go to 4th grade at one school, and then they switch and go to 5th and 6th at another school, and then they switch and they go to 7th and 8th at another school, and then they switch and go to high school. The research behind that is a child who stays kindergarten through 8th grade in the same building in an elementary model succeed higher. And so that's our model. So the kids will be in our school in an elementary model, not rotating classes and all of those things. The curriculum does that itself. The curriculum that we're using out of Hillsdale spirals, right? So you keep coming around, you come back, it all intertwines. It's one of the things that we really like about their curriculum. And then you continue that on up through 8th grade. If you look back how schools have been historically, kids are put in one box at one age, expected to learn the exact same thing throughout that grade level. Well, that's not how people learn, right? They're all at different levels. And so our intent is to make sure that they're being taught, how to learn, more importantly than what to learn, and, at their level at the right time. And we intend to get them out of the building often because a lot of education occurs outside of that location. And our instruction isn't technology-led, it's teacher-led. So they will learn, they have computers, obviously, but that's not what's teaching them. And then there's a heavy emphasis on music because, you're right brain, left brain, and we want both sides of their brain to be stimulated. A lot of outdoor activities, a lot of exercise. Music is a big part of that. So we're going to have a really strong music program as well.
That leads me into the next question about extracurriculars. Joe, will those be available to students? I know parents often try to augment what they can.
Sure. We tend to have clubs, depending on the interests of the kids and the people that we have. This is kindergarten through 3rd, so you don't have a lot of extracurriculars for that age group yet. But again, field trips and different things to stimulate them. And we've even volunteered for our ranch for the kids to come out, and we have, 8 or 10 ponies and things like that. So milk cows and goats and things. So a lot of kids haven't seen those. So they come out to places like that, and they get to learn all about that type of life. That's just one example, but that's kind of the intent.
Joe DeBraga is our guest today, and he is a founding member on the board of directors for Nevada Classical Academy of Elko, as he's been describing, modeled on Hillsdale College. And we've talked about how to apply for the classes that will accommodate kindergarten through second grade to begin with, and then those classes will roll up. I think eventually you'd like to accommodate K through 8. Is that the goal, Joe? Or
K-12.
12 eventually. Okay. All right. In the
that's
long
the
run.
goal, and again, at year 4, we have to look for some new facilities. So that's the challenge. So we hope to get to K-8, at least, and then, depending on if we can have a facility that's going to accommodate a high school, then we'll do that. But again, that's a lot of fundraising and figuring out where those funds are going to come from, because as we know, buildings are not very cheap. So,
oh boy, we're seeing what this school district is going through, with the new schools that they're trying to build and meeting those needs. So what you just described too, it sounds like the goal is to create an environment with less social pressure as well, so students can focus on studies, because they're not going to be changing campuses, literally.
Yeah, and that's, all districts are going through things like that with the social media, and whether they use cell phones or don't use cell phones, and all of that, and what technology can do. And that's happening all across the country. As the chairman of the governing board, we're working on all of our new policies right now. That's one we haven't got to yet. We'll be giving parents opportunities for input, especially here after we get all our applications in, because then the parents that are going to be part of the school will have input on some of those important policies. We are going to have uniforms, things like that. Again, the phone issue hasn't been decided yet, how that will work.
But those are things that, again, play into, less distraction. And we hear that from parents, that they would appreciate more of that. Certainly it lends to deeper learning. Yeah,
and technology has a place in that. If as kids get older, if it can be used right, which is the difficult part, but every kid has a computer right in their pocket, instead of buying them all computers, right? So there's expense issues there as well. But the distractions of the social part, I from what I've seen and what I hear, is it's causing issues with them in their learning, and that's not good. We're going to focus on a lot of the classics when they read. A lot of reading, intense reading, and then history is focused on the Constitution and actual history. They'll start Latin in 5th grade, and I think back to when I was in high school. Latin was part of the curriculum, and that's a basis of a lot of things as well. Especially we get in medical fields and things of that nature. So. Our curriculum is a classical model, which is kind of how schools used to be, and there's a lot of parents that want that option. It's not the option for everyone, but it is an option that a lot of parents would like.
Talking with Joe DeBraga from Nevada Classical Academy of Elko. So obviously a lot of this will depend on the strength of your staff, right, Joe?
Yes, and Dr. Thrawn is just now starting to publish open vacancies for those positions, so teacher positions. So those are now available. All that information's on our website, and the application process. So she's starting to accept those, and I know she has quite a few applicants already. I don't know what her timeline is right now for completing those, but I know that process is underway.
Are you able to say, or do you know if, say, the salary and benefits compare to that of the school teachers, since you said that this is a public school?
Yeah, and that's another spot where we can do things differently, and we are. The school districts are usually a unionized lockstep salary schedule. You work this year, you get this pay. You work another year, you get this pay. You earn credits, you move across. We have the luxury of doing something different, because it always bothered me and other people that, if you're working harder, your kids are performing better, but you haven't been there as long, you're not making as much money. So our system is going to be different than that for teachers. So they have the opportunity. They're going to start at equal levels of what teachers are at the school district, but they'll have opportunities to prove that they've improved themselves as a teacher and their students are achieving. And they show that to us, and then we determine what pay band, is what we're calling them, that they'll get moved into. And so if they choose to keep improving, they can choose to move up. If they don't, if their kids don't perform and they don't continue to improve themselves, then we replace them with someone who does. So we have the luxury to do that because we don't have any bargaining agreements. So it's almost like individualized contracts for teachers. And it's the same with our school leader. You know, if she's leading the school and they get to be high performing, she proves that she does that, she moves up the salary schedule. If she doesn't, she doesn't move. So that's a luxury that we have.
That's incentivizing, certainly, and it's also a level of accountability.
Oh, definitely, yeah, because we use a lot of data, obviously, to see what they're doing, and they have to show us, what it is that they're accomplishing. Kids don't start getting tested till third grade, and we'll have one class of third grade. So the first year, we'll have one group that's being tested. So we don't really know how well we're performing according to the state for a few years to see growth. But so it takes a little bit of time to get through that. And that's why we're starting teachers kind of where they're at. If somebody moves from the school district, then they come in about where they're at. The other thing that they can do, because it's a charter school, they can request a leave of absence from the school district, teach for us for a year, and if they don't like it, the school district, by law, is supposed to take them back. They don't have to take them in their exact position they came from, but they can take that leave of absence and then go back to the school district if it's not for them or doesn't work out.
You can visit the Nevada Classical Academy of Elko's website, as Joe DeBraga was describing, NCAE.org, I believe that was. Yep. And you'll find, and some of this that I may read, it may be dated, so don't panic if you are a recently hired teacher. But according to the website, the Classical Academy was hiring for a variety of positions, including kindergarten teachers, first, second, and third grade, special education teacher, instructional aide, custodial support, IT support, and counseling support, right, Joe? Because that's also going to be an important component of public school.
Yeah, and in our charter application, we had to specify all of those things. And some of them are required by law. Counseling positions, for example. Mental health is real important for the children. Some of these will be part-time, some will be full-time, depending on how many kids that we have as well. But we are kind of, specified things that we have to have as far as staffing, and that's similar to the school district. So we do want to provide that support for kids.
I wanted to let you, Joe, have a chance to talk about, I think, some of the curriculum that you're really proud of in supporting the core values that the Academy wants to embrace in developing students in both mind and character. Apparently, you're ready to adopt. You may have adopted them at January 15th's meeting. 6 virtues. And I won't test you because I can read them off, but there are 6 virtues, right?
Yeah, go ahead and read those
okay,
off.
Okay, good. The 6 virtues are courage, which includes to be brave, courtesy, to be kind and respectful, honesty, always tell the truth, perseverance, never give up, self-governance, to practice self-control, and service, that means to help others.
Exactly. And so you think of it like a discipline plan for schools. We go back to the virtues. Virtues will be taught every day. In schools always open with the Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence where you can reflect. Those things all schools are supposed to do that. And then the school leader, typically in the classical model, will start off with a virtue, and they'll discuss it and talk about it and model it. We want the teachers to model it. We want all adults in the school to model those virtues. So if a child, breaks one of those, then you have a discussion about the virtues. It's kids are going to make mistakes, right? They always do. And so you're going to ask them, which virtue is that, and what did you meet it or not meet it, and what do you need to do to correct that? And so we always start with that. We want to get that across to them. Sometimes that's missing in their lives. They don't have that. They don't know what these things are, and so they'll be taught those. It's not religious, right? It's just teaching them how to be good people. So there's no religious faction involved in this school at all. Some Hillsdale schools are that way. So I want to make it clear to people that we're using a curriculum that's not based off of that, even though if they read things about Hillsdale, they'll see some of their schools do have that component.
Well, thank you, Joe. I think that's important. And I think a lot of parents, an educator, anybody who's listening who cares about students really wishes this for all schools, right? All public schools. And someone like you that spent decades in public education and in those positions where you really make a difference, where did things start to go wrong? When did it start to get so rough, right? When did we lose sight of this?
I don't know. Peter Drucker is a person that we all studied. And he says there's a difference between doing things right and doing the right thing. And schools get caught up in that as well. So, when they're trying to do things right, oftentimes they're trying to do the wrong thing right. And they spend a lot of effort doing that. So they're trying to be efficient. Well, doing the right thing is trying to be effective. Okay? And sometimes they don't have the luxury to do that. They get behind financially, right? So they do things like, put in a 4-day school week. I'm not a proponent of that, right? It's a long day for kids. There's no evidence to show it improves student achievement. So, but they think they're trying to do the right thing because they need to be efficient. So that started happening at COVID, right? And some even a little before that. So then they had to try to be efficient instead of what the right thing was, right? So, they had to do online learning, and things that use computers, and it got to be a mess. So if you look at data from schools across the country, that's where a lot of them really dropped off. Well, then that changed the learner, it changed the teacher, changed the parent's view. And so when they came back, some people wanted to keep it, where kids were at home or not. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons for that. But they had a hard time getting back. And some people that I've studied felt like, that was an opportunity to change schools, to where they would be better. Well, when they came back, they kind of kept trying to do the wrong thing right. And they've struggled. So they're still going down than going up. Nevada, depending on which study you look at, is either last or 47th. Because there's a lot of factors. It's financial, it's testing, it's a lot of different things in there, and that's not a good situation. But again, if you go back to that, I think it started there. In our district, I think it dipped off even before that. I don't know the answers. I know there's not a lot of people going into education, teachers. The district struggles with finding enough staff, especially elementary. I think we need to figure out a way to make it more appealing for young people to go into that field, because it's a great field. It's a great thing to do, very rewarding, and they don't have a lot to choose from. And so it makes it difficult when you're filling positions with substitutes. And, so the training, you have to provide a lot of training and things. That's one of the reasons we created the schedule we created, is to provide a lot of opportunities for that, to help make people successful. But yeah, I don't know, it's not an easy situation. We wish it was better, and that's one of the things we're trying to help the education in our community by providing a different option, a different system, and see if those kind of things work.
Maybe inspire education overall? Because it doesn't sound like you're being exclusive, saying, well, we have an opportunity, so we're just going to take everything over here, right? You're trying to encourage parents to exercise a choice.
Yeah. School districts, again, they're a little more limited than we are. I would like, ideally, everything that's funding that's in what's happening in the states and nationally should be going to improve the public school system itself, right? Charter schools are popping up all over the place because they want to give people options to give their kid something different than what's happening in the other schools, but it should be to improve what you already have in place, right? And that's hard, and I know how hard they work. I was in that system, and they're trying every day to make it better. That's why they're there, right? You don't make a lot of money in the system, right? You're there to help kids, and they're trying to do that every day. But they get behind financially, and they can't get people to build the new buildings for them, and they lose pay as you go, and all of those things that make it harder for them. And so again, that's why they end up trying to do the wrong thing right, instead of doing what's best for kids all the time. But it's not the greatest system. It needs a complete overhaul is what it needs, and charter schools are kind of a way to get that started, and then school districts will start taking bits and pieces from what the charter schools are doing, or the successful schools are doing, like charter schools, and implementing that, hopefully.
Joe, thanks for being so candid, and I think to anyone listening would feel that you have a lot of empathy for the public school system and the people who are committed to it.
Oh, I do. I've worked with some amazing people over the years, and a lot of them are still in the system. And when I retired, I did a lot of mentoring of administrators throughout the state. You talked earlier about the Reading Vision program, where I help kids with dyslexia. Dr. Manila, who invented that system, he still works with kids, and he's in his mid-90s. And it's an amazing system. So he and I had a business after I retired, and we worked with a lot of kids and went into schools and trained teachers. And then I bought the ranch, and so I kind of got away from that a little bit, but I still work with kids and then helping train teachers here and there, mostly word of mouth. But that's a system that we're going to implement in the charter school as well.
That can help diagnose a lot of these problems that can even be behavior-related problems learning.
When the kids struggle with reading, then you get behavioral problems. And it gets misdiagnosed a lot because they'll think, well, this kid's hyperactive, or, they just don't want to learn, and they get fidgety and things. Well, what we found is they can't see the words.
Dyslexia.
They can't see it clearly. Mm-hmm. And what we find a way for them to see it clearly. Once we find out where that position is, you can call it positional-based reading. So depending on where that is, and for some kids, it's just holding their book up. And if it's straight ahead, where they can see it straight even with their eyes, that helps alleviate 90% of their problems. For some, it's up even higher. So it kind of depends. You have to find the spot. And you can see it often in kids. You can look at them if their eyes are in a little bit or out a little bit, or one's up or one's down. Right away they're going to struggle with reading because we have binocular vision. And if your eyes don't line up, the words aren't going to line up. So when they talk about a letter flipping or getting reversed, well, that's what happens if you've ever looked through binoculars, right? And you don't have them clear, or one of them's off, you can't see. And I was working with a little boy the other day, and he gets up and runs around. I think he's first or second grade. Gets up and runs around during reading, and they asked him what the words did. I asked him, and he said, well, they bounce and they move. And nobody paid attention to that. They thought he was just being wild and he wouldn't sit down. Well, I looked at his eyes, and I do a little exercise with a pencil and have him look at it and follow it, and you can see one of his eyes bouncing. Well, that's what the words do. So it makes sense when you see it, right? And so we do a little eye exercise to help strengthen those eye muscles, which then, and you get the their book in the right position, and his eyes will stay still, and so then he can read. And you can hear it instantly. It's not like it takes forever. Once you get it in the right position, they'll double their words per minute read if it's clear. And so that's the basis of that system. And Dr. Manila invented that, I don't know how many years ago. He wrote a book about it. It was very technical. So I rewrote the book for parents and teachers to use and give it away for free. When we work with Dr. Manila and I work with kids independently, we don't charge for services, and we train teachers in schools. We don't charge for those things. It's just something that's good we can help kids. It's a good thing to do. So,
Joe, thank you so much.
yeah.
Joe DeBraga is a founding board member for the Nevada Classical Academy of Elko. So you can find him associated with the Classical Academy's website. You could reach out to him directly about the reading vision that we just talked about and how that might improve a situation for a student that you're aware of.
Yeah, and there's a website we have, readingvision.net, that explains the system. There's some data on there. If you'd like a digital copy of the books, you can always email me and I'll send you a copy of that, because it's amazing what that process does. So
life-changing for sure. And we know that literacy is the foundation of learning. Thank you, Joe. We'll look forward to visiting with you in the future. Anyone who is listening interested in the admission process, open application, admission, and enrollment, all students are welcome to apply. The Classical Academy of Elko does not charge tuition nor discriminate against any prospective student, but there are phases beginning with the application phase, so you must go online for that, and then get involved with the admission and hopefully enrollment if you get through the wait list. And it sounds like there is one for some of those classes. So, Joe, thank you again for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lori. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us as we feature Joe DeBraga today from the Nevada Classical Academy of Elko, Elko's newest charter school, which is opening this summer, or I guess this fall. Thank you for joining us.